I matched Abood because I'm a boss.
Go on, Jared. Welcome.
Alright, I'm doing my goddamn welcome. Welcome back to the Open Peace Podcast, everybody. And it's a great day. Well, I'd say it's an okay day. The weather was kind of bad, but, you know, we have some good news. We're opening up a Patreon account because we would like to make this show better. And we need your guys' help to do it. You know, if you can throw us some money, we're not asking you to give us everything you have. Of course not. We just want to get some proper equipment, a studio, or a place for all of us to record so we can really up the quality of this because we really think this is something special. And if you guys can give anything, it could be $1, a penny, one-time donation, monthly if you can. But if it's monthly, oh, it would save us. We have some ideas.
And we'll sell it. We don't care. Just whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you want Pope blood? I'll get you Pope blood. You give us $1 a month, I'll get you Pope blood. All right. So we have some ideas for members that we're going to be mentioning very soon. So keep an eye on the community page on our YouTube channel. And we're going to have some ideas for members coming up very soon. We hope you guys enjoy our show enough that you will support us. And if you do, thank you. And if you don't, thank you again. Just the fact that you're watching supports us so much, and we love you. All right? Guys,
Much.
it's wonderful to be back with you fuckers again.
There goes the first F-bomb of today's podcast.
Yeah, there it goes. I mean, hey, look, YouTube says you're not supposed to do it within, like, the first 30 seconds or whatever. I think I got past that, so.
Oh, really? Didn't know that.
Yeah, and also good news. My mom told me I'm limited to 5 F-bombs per episode, so I got 4 left.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna have to wean Jared off the swearing. But
Yeah, it's gonna be a very difficult process. But guys, we're gonna talk about religion versus secularism in Israeli society. And I think the Middle East at large. There's a lot to talk about. It's a very dense topic, especially in a place called the Holy Land, you know?
Yeah. For many, this is the birthplace of religion, and it is the birthplace of monotheism. It's a big deal here.
Yeah.
And it's also hotly debated, and you could say more than debated. It's violently debated.
Violently, I think, was the understatement of the century, but we'll see how the 21st goes.
Yeah, well, there's big opportunities for things to get worse, and there's obviously opportunity always for improvement, but we're not in the best position right now when it comes to the clash between religious and secular citizens of Israel. They tend to butt heads on pretty much every topic.
Yeah.
It's pretty miraculous.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing. But what do you think is the key then to kind of understanding each other's ideologies and respecting and bridging that gap? Because at the end of the day, you've got half of the nation which thinks a certain way and maybe half of the nation which thinks another way. And it's on key issues, isn't it? It's on key issues.
It's not only inside the nation, Amir, don't forget. It's like on the...
Sorry. It's worldwide. But I guess here it's kind of... It's felt so much because you have so many different groups of religious people that all have their own beliefs, that all believe in their own way. And I think that at the end of the day, over here, the thing that I can see that will bridge the gap is just kind of understanding each other's community and respect, you know, because at the end of the day over here, people don't really interact that much with each other's communities, you know. You're not going to see secular people in an ultra-Orthodox town that often. It's not something that happens too much. And I think it's a shame, and I think that a lot more is needed to kind of integrate all of the religious communities within the workspace and more within the general society over here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is also a general problem of integrating the Haredim and the ultra-Orthodox is that they've been fairly resistant
This
to
is the
integrating into like the wider Israeli secular society. I mean, like there's a reason why like secular Israelis, while they are still Jews, look at the Haredim with scorn. I mean, I remember when I was a soldier and I was living with this Orthodox Yemenite family. They weren't Haredi, but I was staying with them as a soldier who had nowhere else to go at the time. And news would come up of these Haredim in Jerusalem, and the thing these people said about them, my God. I don't even want to repeat it here, but I couldn't blame them. Because, like...
I know what you mean, yeah, I know where you're coming from. Like, there's definitely a case to be made for what a lot of those people say, but it's not... see, in many ways, in fact, for the reason you just stated, that they've been so resistant to it, this issue scares me the most, and this is the problem we face here that I think is possibly, it feels the most hopeless, because they truly believe that God has commanded them to do these things and believe these things. How is a human being or any number of human beings going to compare with God, right? They're not going to listen to others. And I think a big part of what you said, that we do need to integrate and understand each other. I think more than that, we need to cut out this habit major religions have of trying to interfere with other people's lives, people that are not even part of their communities.
Yeah.
You're right, Kane. I mean, it's a survival thing, really. When a person has their own beliefs, when they believe in their beliefs that strongly, if they get their beliefs, for example, if someone endangers their beliefs, it's almost like it's a survival situation, you know.
How do you convince someone like that? You know what I mean? It doesn't really come easily.
Like there's a channel I've been watching called Telltale, where like I think I've shown him to you, Kane. The dude who runs the channel is an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and he spends a lot of his time talking about religious cults and cult-like behavior and like the smartest ways of dealing with cult members when you come across them, how to like pull them out, like because you can't yank people out, but you have to do it slowly. But there is a way to go about it. We should get him on the show at some point. Now that I think about it, to talk about religious stuff.
That would be fantastic if he's out there listening, or if anyone can get the message to him.
Yeah.
Come here and tell us your story, sir.
Yeah, come on, Owen, you handsome bastard, get on the show.
But yeah, it's an age-old clash.
So religion is not our main problem, or is it? It's the way how people are using it or believing in it.
Some of the other massive problems we have.
Yeah.
Definitely, but it's also how different people are believing.
I mean, religion has been a motivator for the actions of mankind, good and bad, throughout our entire existence. So, I mean, it's not to say as if religion in of itself is an issue. It's just a matter of extremism and cult-like behavior that like we seem to be slipping into in this past decade all around the world.
Yeah, what do you think, Amir?
Yeah.
Look, I think that at the end of the day, the R word, respect, I think that's the key to solving differing ideologies. Because at the end of the day, right, you're not going to convince somebody who's been raised in an ultra-orthodox environment that you're right about science and that the earth is billions of years old, etc., etc. It's not going to happen. You have to respect the fact that he believes the earth is 5,700, and and he believes his way, and he believes that keeping kosher is going to help him, and he believes that his prayers help him, and he believes all of those things. Now, on the flip side, he must also respect the fact that as an atheist or agnostic or as a secular person of any religion, that they have the right to lead their life however they see fit, without infringing, let's say, on their religious rights. So, for example, right, it would be very disrespectful, even though it's perfectly legal for me to go and drive around an ultra-Orthodox town on Shabbat. It's not something that I would do because It's just a matter of respect, right? I want to respect their religion and respect their holy day, and I'm not going to go and drive in their town on that day. So I think it comes down to that, because the ideology is always going to differ.
And they react violently if you do stuff like that too.
Yeah, which is part of the issue, because I'm glad that you said that about not driving around their neighborhoods. And yeah, we have to be respectful of people's religious beliefs, but at the same time, they kind of enforce it on people. I mean, like the women who aren't from Israel, they'll come to Israel, they'll come to Jerusalem to see Jerusalem. They have to dress a certain way if they don't want to get pelted with rocks.
Which is
I'm gonna use my second F-bomb for this episode. That's just unfucking acceptable. It really is. I don't care what your beliefs are.
Yeah, but then again, Jared, right? Okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I've been to many religious sites all over the world, temples, all sorts, and in each different place, you might have to wear a certain thing just to respect the place that you're in, the history, the culture. So I can understand if you're in a mosque, or if you're in a church, or if you're in the Western Wall, if you're in a very holy place, I can understand there to be a need just to be. No one's asking you to be Taliban style, wrapped head to toe, but just to keep things modest. I don't think it's too much to ask, especially, if you look at like the Western Wall, let's say, that's a Jewish site of over 3,000 years, and I think that at the end of the day, it's worthy of respect. You understand? I wouldn't want there to be street parties like there is in Tel Aviv around that area. I would personally, as someone who's not religious, I wouldn't want that.
I don't think any secular Jew would want that.
I want to play devil's advocate though with this question.
Sure.
What you're saying, I'm totally in favor, and I encourage people to show respect to other people's cultures and religions. And that's definitely the right thing to do. That's what people should be doing. But should it be legislature? Should there be anything, or not necessarily legislature, but should there be any kind of pressure or anything forcing you to follow this and keep to other people's beliefs?
As in like the government?
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask, like, as the government, like the police forcing people to do this, like, might not necessarily be laws passed, like
it could be that, or them trying to force you to abide by their religion when you don't believe in it strong. For example, if you want to drive through one of their neighborhoods on Shabbat, you shouldn't do that because obviously it makes you a bit of a dick. But should they then be able to throw rocks at your car and drive you out of town?
Yeah, definitely no need for violence.
No,
I live in Shem.
People have the freedom to be a dick if they want to.
Exactly.
But that does, and as people say, like, you have the freedom to be a dick, but that doesn't mean you also have the right to be liked by everybody. You can still face social consequences for your dickery. I just don't think you should be beaten or have violence inflicted upon you for it.
Violence is the next step, and that's where you could say we're drawing the line.
Yeah, that I draw the line at violence, but people should have the freedom to be a dick.
Motivated by religion, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Well, we have hijab here in Shem, and it's a city where the majority of the women do wear the hijab, but in the last few years I've seen less violence, I think you can say, towards non-hijabi women. So people, at least like in the Palestinian part, are less or more tolerant of non-hijabi women. So we can see that more respectable, but I think the situation might be different in some places, maybe in Gaza, for example, or something like that. I do know that Saudi Arabia, for example, has some maybe legal, governmental laws for wearing things. So
I think in Saudi they mandate the burqa, not just the hijab. They mandate the burqa. If you're a woman and you're outside without a burqa, I believe the police will pick you up and wait for the man who technically owns you to come get you.
Oh.
as an expression of what women's rights in Saudi are.
Well, yeah, but I think there's been change over there as well recently. You know, they're modernizing a bit, and I think that they have to get off the reliance on oil, and they're opening up the country to tourism and stuff. And I can only hope that things change there for women over there.
Bit of a sticky wicket.
Yeah, I sincerely hope so.
It is, but Kane, this goes back to the respect what we were talking about earlier, because, you know, let's say I want to go to Jerusalem on Shabbat, right? And I want to visit the Western Wall from where I am. I have to drive to get, okay, no problem. There might be one route which might take me through Mea Sha'arim that might be shorter. Or there might be a route that might take me through a less religious area, a less orthodox area, that might take me 5 minutes longer. To respect that day and to respect them, I don't want to go in 5 minutes out of my way, as long as it's reciprocal. As long as it's reciprocal, and they're not trying to dictate my life. This is the thing. I don't think that there's, you know, religion's an organized group of people. I don't think there's any organized groups of secular people that
it's a generalization, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm generalizing. I admit that. There's definitely like massive fracturing and splintering within the religious community. You know, one religious guy is not the same as the next. They're
speaking about religious communities, I think. Okay, like speaking about religious communities, I think I should mention my community as an example. You know, Samaritans, being a really old community, we're technically kind of a religious one too. But what's interesting is that you cannot say that we are like extremist or something like that. And I think it has to do with how we have one foot in the ancient world and one foot in the modern world. We have a really nice balance. So we kind of like do have laws which are really strict, but when someone comes in the car on Shabbat, everyone goes and say hi, and you know, they want to know where he's from and everything like that. So we have really strict rules, but when it comes to these kinds of things, when someone, you know, kind of crosses the line, we don't really have violent acts towards him. So I think there is something wrong when it comes to like having to inflict violence just because someone you know, did something against your beliefs.
Yeah. I must say, honestly, from my limited amount of experience with the Samaritan community through you, I do think that you guys are leading by example in a big way, in many ways. I think a lot of what you do is great, and the respect you show in that sense could really be emulated by other religious groups.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I believe so.
For sure. But that's the kind of, it's great within Judaism, you know, you have many different branches and many different ideologies within those branches. So, you know, there might be religious people that keep all the mitzvot, but at the same time they follow the way of the Ramban, you know, or the Rambam, and they believe in work, and they think that work is a precious part of life that you know, just as crucial as learning Torah, and just as crucial as keeping mitzvot, to give back to your society. And I think that we're kind of in a bit of a tricky situation with the ultra-Orthodox community because of the old law that says, you know, that they're basically allowed to just study Torah and
not do anything else.
Not do anything else, which goes against actually what many of the ultra-Orthodox that live in the UK or America, it's completely the opposite. Those guys have professions, they're engineers, they're doctors, they're still while keeping the Judaism. So I think that, you know, there does need to be a change here. And I think there has to be gradual. Do it with the community. Don't fight against, because I do think that during this Corona time, you know, there's obviously been a lot of trouble here. There's been riots. There's been buses set alight. There's been a lot of trouble.
I was just down the road from me, that.
Yeah, I know. It was just down the road from you, isn't it? Yeah.
I heard, bro, do you know how many fire engines and sirens I heard that day? I heard like layers of sirens, about 50 on top of each other. But what the hell?
It's complete.
What is this all in Bnei Brak?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It was absolutely not. From what I heard, actually, and this is an interesting wrinkle to the story, that the people that did it, that started that mini riot and set the boss on fire, were not from Bnei Barak. They came from elsewhere and decided to riot there.
You never know.
You
never know.
That's one of the difficult things in this world, is just trying to figure out like what happened, because there's so much information out there and not all of it is coming from people who want the truth to be told, you know?
Yeah. I have an interesting
issues about time.
I think one of the interesting things to think about is the special treatment the religious can get here in Israel, because it's the Jewish state, and elsewhere they don't have they're not given precedence because of the fact they're religious, whereas here they are. Is that why, you give them an inch, they take a mile of rope? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Oh, for me personally, I think it has to do with the fact that we're a democracy and the way that our democracy is set up. You know, I mean, like the Haredi parties like Shas and UTJ each control about, like, depending on how good the turnout was, can get anywhere from like 20 to 30 seats.
No, I don't think I phrased it very well. I think what I meant was, do you think the reason that they're happy to sit back and do less than Jews in other countries, and they can just sit back and live on the government help they get, is that because they have that option here? They don't have that option here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it is, and I'm explaining why. Like, I think they have that option. It's because they have such great representation in the Knesset.
Yeah, like that we have.
I mean, like the ultra Orthodox had support from Ben Gurion, a socialist, because he needed votes in Parliament.
It goes back to those days, though, doesn't it? It doesn't really have to do with they do have very big representation now in government, but it goes back to Ben Gurion's days, those laws. So they just need to be changed. It's like outdated laws in America or in England or wherever else. Outdated laws need to be updated and changed.
So what you're telling me is a big part of the tax money goes to them, in a sense?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
It goes towards benefits for them, making sure that like the Rabbanut is able to deliver services to them, making sure that like places where they live are up to code when it comes to kosher living. Food stamps, housing, subsidies, a lot of it goes towards them.
I agree with what you said there, Amir, as well. It's a bit like Joe Rogan's joke, that the U.S. Constitution must be outdated because it was written with a feather by candlelight. Like it's the same thing. The laws that we set in place when we first started what we now have, they're not the same.
They're not relevant. Look, just for example, Kane, what you're saying, in 100 years or 200 years, cars might be obsolete and we might be flying around in little personal drones, right?
Right.
All the laws on the road, you're just going to scrap them. You're not going to keep them there. You're going to come up with new laws for the sky or whatever, You're going to update things. And I think we've gotten to do that here in many, many different aspects. But I just wanted to pose a dilemma to you guys, because it's a dilemma we do have in the country. And it's a tricky one, because I'm kind of divided on it, even though I do have an opinion, but I'm a little bit divided on it. Let's say cultural Bedouins, okay, in the south of Israel, in their interpretation of Islam and the way they see things, they're allowed to have more than one wife. They're allowed to live a polygamic lifestyle, right? And it's very common in the south of Israel, within Bedouin communities, to have 2, 3, maybe even 4 wives as you get older. Now, technically, that's against the law of Israel, right? That is completely not allowed. It's written in the law that it's illegal. It's punishable by jail. I was just wondering what you guys think of that law, and is there any point in having a law like that if it's not being enforced?
What is the law specifically?
It says you can only have one wife.
Yeah, you can only have one.
You can only have one spouse at a time. That's the law. What I think about it is, legally, you can call one of them your wife, and you can have sex with whom. The state of Israel is not going to punish somebody for having sex with whatever. And if you, I don't know, like what they do down there, I've not been privy to it. if they're like saying like, oh, I have like 3 wives or whatever, and it's like only one of them is legally your wife according to the state of Israel, and you're just having sex with all of them in like a big weird relationship, then like that's your business. I'm worried about the situation of the women in that kind of context.
Yeah.
And I think their rights should be protected. But as far as it goes, the state has no right to tell you who you have sex with and what you call that relationship. However, they do control the document. And I think, and personally, I think there's nothing wrong with saying like you can have only one spouse at a time. I think that's just more stable.
Yeah.
You mentioned the reason why did they put this law, Amir? I didn't think.
Yeah, there is. It's not like there are benefits from the studies that have been done. From what I understand, that there are benefits to a general social standard of monogamy because people waste less time, on sex. When they with one person, I think what happens is they get used to that person. The sex, shouldn't die out, but often it does, and they're free to focus on other things that keep them productive. Something like that.
Okay.
But there's a difference between, because I'm quite a liberal person and I don't have a specific issue with polygamy if that's what you want to do. Yeah. But I think it's probably to our benefit that as a society we can't not hold to, because I'm against, really restricting ourselves by clinging to things too much.
Yeah.
But I think we should encourage monogamy still in a general sense. Yeah. And the outliers will always do what the outliers want to do.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
So should the law be scrapped then? What's the point of having a law if it's not being enforced?
Well, I do know that.
I mean, the point of the law and not being enforced. Well, I mean, I would argue it's kind of stupid to have it at that. But then there's also But there's 2 different implications towards having a law and enforcing the law. I mean, Paris. It was illegal in Paris for a woman to wear pants until like 2015, when they just remembered it was on the books and they got rid of it. Like it was still there. It's a remembrance about what society kind of wants to mold itself into.
Yeah.
And I do think that law should still be there. I don't think there should be any punishment. I think it's more just saying the state is only going to recognize one spouse, which I'm okay with. But as far as it goes with the state telling you who to sleep with, whether it's multiple women, multiple men, whoever, that the state has no business doing that.
Or in case if a woman doesn't bring children, maybe you want,
they can change the law. There can be a law, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the law that we have now. They could change the word.
We can always change it.
An option just to rejig it. But one of the things I wanted to say is we're speaking about moving forward and making progress. And in keeping with the topic of this episode, the question I have, I want to hear you guys tell me why do you think that religion is the reason that we don't update a lot of these laws? Because we're trying to not only appease them, but stick to old ways.
Yeah, I don't think religion is the reason. I think religion is just another symptom of part of how our psychology works that keep us from changing. Because humans are just inherently afraid of change. We don't like to change too fast. What we have now is what we know and therefore comforting. Changing it is scary psychologically, which is why you see things slow to change when it comes to human society. I don't think religion is the reason. I think religion is just another symptom.
You think people turn to religion because they're scared of things changing?
Belief offers
I think it's a part of
relief. Belief offers relief.
History.
Yeah.
What's that, Abood? It cut out. It cut out a little bit.
Sorry, I'm saying belief offers relief. And that kind of makes it harder for people to kind of stay away from religion, like many people when they are already in it, and especially when you're an extremist. So I think that answering your question, Kane, I do think it is a big part of why we cannot easily change particular laws, some specific laws. For example, you can take like hijab as an example in the Islamic societies, you know, suddenly changing that. I mean, there are some people who say hijab specifically, or not even hijab, take the women who cover their face completely, you know, like in Saudi Arabia. When you come to the Islamic religion, many argue that that is not really what the Quran says. It's just really just a head, you know, but still, even when the Quran, or when people start believing that, it's not going to happen immediately. So changing that law is very difficult. So I do believe it has something to do with making some laws change harder.
Yeah. And I guess that the fact there are reform branches of all of these religions now is a sign that things are changing with time.
Yeah. I mean, things will change. We can't fight against it. Change is part of human nature just as much as staying the same is. It's one of those weird paradoxes of our own brains. You know, we're afraid of change, but we inevitably go to it, you know?
Yeah. And I'm not encouraging anyone to get into Reform Judaism or whatever. Like, I'm not going to tell you that God is wrong. Like, God may very well exist. He may very well, you know, say what you think he says. I'm not going to tell you to go against God, but...
Yeah, and if he does, he has some words for me. My God.
But I draw the line at pressuring people to follow the same thing that you believe.
Yeah,
I always tell people like the Samaritan community, the way we see our religion, you can say, is like, really, we don't see it as a religion. It's more of a way of life. And if your way of life is not working, you probably should be changing it. You know, if you're causing violence, or if you're receiving violence in some way because you caused it, yeah, there are some things that should be changed.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, like, yeah, well, I mean, that's what I find to be so, pardon my lack of a better word, but so weird about you Samaritans, Abood. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean you guys are so similar to Jews in like the way you speak of your religion and your identity, and like the way you go about these traditions. It's so Jewish, yet it's not.
Yeah, I know.
But it is.
Yeah, I know it is Jewish. I mean, it's rooted in the same thing, but I'm just saying it's like such a weird, uncanny valley of identity, and I am fascinated by it.
I do know what you mean. It probably has to do with, I mean, us being maybe number one, being a minority, and also being, you know, not like really an extremist in a sense. For example, well, when it comes to Shabbat, we're pretty extreme, let's say that. But for example, clothing, you know, we don't have any specific strict clothing thing, you know, traditions. Like, our women are pretty free to wear anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have your white garb, but that's only for like ceremonies.
That's only for Shabbat and some festivals. Yeah.
Cool.
Really comfortable too. I love wearing that thing. It's really comfortable.
Yeah. Is it? It looks comfy. Can I have one?
What I love about Abood is he hears about a fancy dress party and he's like, I'll just wear my traditional religious clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will just wear what the High One has passed down unto me.
The high priest.
It's like you're saying, hey, I look ridiculous. I'm going to wear this.
Don't listen to Abood.
Like making a mockery of your own religion, Abood. It's terrible.
I did think about it, like, what the hell am I doing at some point,
Yeah.
Oh, Abood, I wanted to ask you, with Megillat Esther coming up, Purim's coming up, do you guys celebrate Purim? Is that a thing over...
We went to a Purim party together, didn't we, Abood?
Well, we did. But Samaritans are actually, like, Purim and Hanukkah are the only ones we do not celebrate, like the Jewish ones.
Yeah, because it's not from Quran.
But it's already been a year, Kane? Interesting. Okay.
Purim.
Yeah.
I love Purim.
Purim's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's everyone's favorite, isn't it?
Yeah, so I was about to say, it's a holiday where you get to dress up like an idiot and go get drunk in the streets. Who doesn't love that?
It is.
It's a glorious holiday.
There are very few people that they have a preferred holiday. Everyone loves Purim.
Yeah, everyone loves Purim.
Not to go outside.
I also like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's a great holiday. I love Thanksgiving.
Not to go off topic much, but just a few minutes ago, like an hour ago, I discovered there's an interesting book about the Samaritans. I really love the title, so I'm gonna look it up. The title is a forgotten heir of Forgotten Kingdom. Heir of Forgotten Kingdom. Yeah.
Heir of Forgotten Kingdom. I was thinking about making a joke about it, where you said it's a really good title of a book. It's called Samaritans. Why do they all have 14-inch cocks? Big question mark.
Oh, God. All right.
But I wasn't sure if I should say that.
Jared.
Jared, indeed.
So, community secular.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was going to say that was actually fairly on topic, Abood, and then Jared changed it.
Yeah.
I noticed.
I couldn't help it, okay? It's like telling a fish not to swim. I have to say it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I wanted to bring up one more little topic, guys, which is actually is quite controversial here. People outside the country may think we're so silly. What are we arguing about, and what are we even talking about? But public transport on Shabbat, you know,
that needs to go, man. That's the one that people are crying out for the most to change.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, government. It's part of the argument I always make about separation of church and state. The government can respect your religion, and it absolutely should. However, when your particular part of your religion starts telling the government what services it can or cannot provide to other citizens, that's where you've gone. That's where you've gone into the level of, all right, you need to stop with your bullshit. Like, I mean, like, it is so bad. We should have more stores be open on Saturday. We should have buses and trains open on Saturday. Everything.
Just Saturday routes. If we don't need to drive through religious neighborhoods and communities, we can change the bus route on Saturdays. It doesn't have to go through there. They're not going to take the damn bus anyway.
Yeah, so, exactly. I mean, like, we can have Saturday routes. It's such a good idea.
You guys reminds me of Fridays for the Muslims. On Fridays they have the Shabbat.
That's right.
Like, but
Friday is the Muslim Shabbat.
Yeah, although it's not as strict.
Go into the Muslim neighborhoods.
Yeah, guys, what happened with all the other Abrahamic religions that came after us that get Shabbat on these weird other days?
There's Shabbats other than Friday and Saturday and...
that's what I was going to say. A lot of people don't even realize there are other Abrahamic religions.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like Christianity grew out of Judaism. Islam was, like, Muhammad, as far as I know, according to, like, the archaeology and the science. Basically. Yeah, I mean, it looked towards Judaism as a heavy thing. Yeah. And, like, Christians say the Sabbath is on Saturday. Muslims say it's on Friday. Meanwhile, us Jews, who were the first ones, are like, it's Saturday. Saturday, anybody? Saturday? No? Okay. Are you guys gonna kill us this time? No?
Well,
okay, thank you.
Interestingly, there's a story in the Quran.
That's pretty much Jewish history right there. It's just a Jew sitting in between a Muslim and a Christian going, you're not gonna kill me, are you?
Well, no? Interestingly, there's a story in the Quran in Islam that says that there are some Jewish people who violated Saturdays, so God turned them into monkeys.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. Yeah, well, I mean, you have to. If you're starting a new religion, you have to have a story showing how more theologically pure your book is compared to the old one.
Well, other than myself, there's no basis for that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, John, I do believe that in Judaism that take on a lot of things from Sumer, from Sumeria and Mesopotamia. I believe even the story of Moses is very similar to a story of ancient Sumer.
Are you sure Moses and not Noah? Because the flood story is a very Mesopotamian thing.
No, the flood as well, but I'm pretty sure Moses, the story of Moses, baby being thrown into a...
And the binding
Oh,
of
the baby being thrown into a river. Yeah, that is a Mesopotamian thing. I was thinking more of the implications of of Exodus.
There's so many that are similar. You know the binding of Yitzchak, where God told Abraham to kill Yitzchak, so he took him up the mountain. And from what one of my Arab students told me, they have the same story about Ishmael.
Yeah, but it's Ishmael.
Yeah. As I say, like that's the argument. Arabs are the descendants of Ishmael, and Jews are the descendants of Yitzchak.
Yeah. They have the same story with the other one. That's the only difference. And I think it was a different type of animal as well. Like it was a goat instead of
a sheep.
A sheep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A sheep.
Instead of a lamb.
Exactly. It's kind of weird.
You know, Kane, I'm hoping that religious leaders even can maybe listen to this podcast and take some of it in and understand that the responsibility actually does lie within leaders and communities themselves to bridge these gaps. And ideology, secular communities as well, to bridge the gap and to understand and to try and live side by side as one and not as a fragmented group. Because I think at the end of the day, the thing that binds us most, apart from religion and apart from nationality and hobbies and all these kinds of things, is the fact that we're all human. At the end of the day, we all have the same basic human wants, needs, emotions, and I think that's something that we need to just build on. Definitely over here and understand each other's religions, because I think there's a lot of kind of anti-other religions within certain religions, within Judaism, it's anti-Christian theology, and within Christianity you can have very deep anti-Jewish theology, and within Islam you can have complete jihadi mentality to complete mysticism and Sufism and all sorts of mystical occasions.
They all seem to have an ancient Jews part, but
well, I mean, to be fair, you could say that about any culture that exists around the Mediterranean. There seems to be an undercurrent of anti-Jewish whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Pretty much anywhere you go, you'll find the Jews. That's it.
I think everyone should be a good Samaritan.
I mean, not India. India and Eastern Asia has actually been pretty okay with it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think Buddhism is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not a problem with the
Buddhism is pretty neat, but then you get situations like in Myanmar where you have militant Buddhists killing Muslims.
See, anything can be taken to ridiculous extremes.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, guys, now we moved a bit east, can I ask you guys about something? Because I want to get your 2 cents on this, because this drives me insane.
Go ahead.
In East Asia, like all over East Asia, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, China, Japan, and even Korea, there's a thing where people will just dress up like Hitler. And they will just put Hitler in the most inappropriate situations. Like, you want to sell tea?
Yeah.
Just put Hitler on there drinking tea.
Like on the balcony of Buckingham Palace.
Yes. Oh, God.
That's an inappropriate place to put Hitler.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, but they do that all the time in East Asia. Like in Korea, you have pop stars who have gotten big in the West getting in trouble because they took a picture with a mannequin dressed up as Hitler and they're caressing it or something. They view Nazis as a prop over there, and it really weirds me the fuck out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's a lot of weird stuff going on.
That is wrong, man.
Yeah. It is. It's a bit bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Messed up.
Yeah, I just want to ask you guys what you think about that before we start wrapping this one up, because I needed to talk about that because it's been on my mind all week.
Well, look,
are we talking about anti-Semitism here, or just not even? Are we talking about anti-Semitism?
I mean, it's possibly related to anti-Semitism. I think it's just related to a lack of education about anything that goes on outside of your country that happens like in that part of the world. Because I mean, like China, Japan, Korea, like Southeast Asia, they don't really teach much about world history outside of their own country. And I mean, people shit on America all the time about that, but at least we get basic stuff down about what happened in other parts of the world.
Yeah,
Like-
that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's like they talk like talking about like various revolutions of Mexico, the Art Confederation of Canada, the various wars of Europe mainly. It's a whole bunch of things.
Okay. You sorted it out with the Europe thing. Well, I was good. Mexico, Canada, America.
Yeah. Mexico, Canada, America. Well, I mean, they're right there, so that's of course that's who we're going to talk about the most. But I mean, at least we still learn about other things. I mean, like, we're nowhere near China, yet we all know about Mao Zedong and the Chinese Civil War.
Someone
And how
showed up
the
to
national-
Overtaking me, you better know about them. You know what I mean? You American.
Yeah.
Someone actually showed up British Parliament with Mao's little black book.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
What kind of idiot pulled that shit?
Terrible.
What'd you say, Amir?
Terrible. It's terrible, that kind of behavior. But look, at the end of the day, guys, right, going back to Sharon's thing about Nazi costumes and whatnot, I'm all up for complete and utter freedom. You should be able to dress or not dress however the hell you want and however you see fit, right?
Yeah.
But I think as a society, we need to be better educated to deal with those kind of situations. So, for example, a Korean or someone who dressed up as a Nazi, I think that hopefully the Koreans around her or him would be enough wise to say, look, you're dressed like a mass murderer who did this. I suggest you go change your clothes. Now, going back to the subject of these costumes, you know, I don't know if any of our listeners are aware. Actually, famous British royal or ex-royal, however you want to see him, Harry, I can remember him being pictured in a Nazi uniform at a fancy dress party. Now, me being a British citizen, to me, that actually, I need an apology from him for that, because to me, that's an absolute disgrace for a royal to behave like that. To somebody who's living off public funds, or who was living off public funds, I think that's an absolute disgrace.
That is wrong,
For him
yeah.
to dress up like that,
It's
you know?
horrific. It's horrific.
And, you know,
yeah.
all his virtue signaling and all this now, we want an apology for that, Harry. You know what I mean? We don't care how long ago it was. We don't care if it was 15 years ago or you were just a kid. You were smoking weed. You were going through your funny stage. You know, we don't care, Harry. You were still dressed up as a bloody Nazi.
I mean, if Megan, if you're watching this, get your husband. We know it was you who pulled him out of that incestuous royal family. We know you could get him to apologize.
Yeah, please do try. But I want to say, by the way, first of all, for some reason I said little black book. I don't know why. I think I was looking at the checkbook over there. I meant little red book. If you want to check that out, it was John McDonnell. It was Labour's finance spokesman.
John McDonnell. Was this Labour under Corbyn?
This was like 2015. So I don't have a.
I think that was Corbyn if it was 2015. Because if it was under Corbyn, then that just makes sense. Corbyn's insanely left.
Well, yeah. Apparently he read out some advice from the book. That's what his intention was to do.
Advice.
I don't think what was his name? John McDonnell. John McDonnell. I don't think you should be taking advice from a man who's starved millions upon millions. Like you wouldn't read advice on how to cook bread from Joseph Stalin, especially after the Holodomor. Which, by the way, if we have any Holodomor deniers, it fucking happened.
Yeah.
To know that.
This is I've just found it. It's really interesting. Apparently, he criticised Finance Minister George Osborne for allowing what he called the nationalisation of British industry by other states such as China, and offered to assist Comrade Osborne in his dealings with newfound comrades.
Jesus.
How very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand British politics, but then again, I come from America where everything is skewed so far to the right, I can't even imagine having an actual left-wing party.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what point you're trying to make or what your reason is, just don't do that.
Yeah. let me bring in Mao. How many people are dead because of his actions? Oh, hundreds of millions? Oh, yeah.
World War.
Let me read his book.
If it was really about solving problems, there would be no need for acts of showmanship.
Exactly.
Well, guys, what this all tells us is how strong words can be, you know, and that's what we're trying to do in this podcast. Words can change people. They can save millions of lives, or they can kill millions of lives.
To change the world.
Change the world.
Yeah.
That's what many
Like
people
Rocky
do.
IV, ending the Cold War.
Oh, that was such a great movie. But you guys know what could change our worlds, personally? If any of our lovely viewers decided they had the extra money to spare to our Patreon account, which you will find down below. Have to mention, if you watch all the way to the end, we know not everybody does, but if you do, thank you, and we love you especially.
Yeah, you're our favorites.
Yeah, you're our favorite. You, Tyler, on the couch, I see you. You're our favorite.
Diane, thank you.
Yeah, Diane. So this is where we're going to end it. This is going to be a shorter episode.
Please don't forget to join our Discord also.
Yeah, we're going to be opening up a Discord. I can't believe I forgot to mention that one. Thank you.
If you like tahini, try tahini harbracha. Sorry.
Sexy motherfucker.
And Diane was just the first name that came to mind. That was no reference to the royal family, so don't attack me.
Yeah. Or was it?
No, it wasn't.
Or was it? Our next episode of Open Peace, what does Kane know about Princess Diana?
That I'd happily trade her for, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah, let's not get into that can of worms. I mean, we're talking about Middle Eastern politics. I'd rather not get into that one. All right. We're going to have a Discord up. If you have any extra spare money, we really appreciate it. Help make the show better. Donate to our Patreon. We'll have a link down below.
All
of us, thank you for watching.
Do as much as you can. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. You know?
Yeah.
Like, comment, and share.
Yeah. Like, comment, share, send it to your friends. We're going to have a comment war down below over who's more attractive, me or Abood. Spoiler alert, Abood's going to win. I don't even know if that one's going to make it in. I'm just getting stupid now. Anyway, guys, I love hanging out with you. We had a great talk.
You too. Thank you, Jared.
Episode over.
Boom.
Damn, it has to make it in because you didn't do the clap until afterwards.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's no question.
All right. Wait.